Now I'm gonna go into the spoiler part of the review. In the beginning when he starts seeing the therapist, I immediately was kind of like, ooh, I don't know if I like this guy. Dr. Golan encourages Jacob's parents to let him go seek out this place, to realize that it's not it's not as magical as he thinks it is. It'll help him with his delusions that his grandfather might have been telling the truth and blah 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 blah. I have had a lot of experiences with therapists, and maybe in certain like instances they might tell somebody like Jacob, hey, you should go and just demystify this place and these people and this thing so that you can move on with your life. But I don't know that any of the therapists I've ever seen or encountered would ever recommend that I actually go to this island to demystify something. Right when Dr. Golan suggested to Jacob's parents, like, let him go, let him do this thing, I was like, this guy's a bad guy. This is bad news. I wrote, Dr. Golan is so in on this, and by this I mean like the conspiracy. No therapist would encourage him going. I think he's a bad guy. And then when he was talking to him on the phone and he was like, oh yeah, I'm at the airport, I'm gonna go visit my sister, I was like, no you're not. You're gonna go see Jacob. You're on your way to ruin his life. You're a bad guy. You're doing bad things. And I know it. I know it. He says, see you soon. I was like, see you soon? Don't you mean like talk to you soon? That means like you're gonna be there. You're gonna like see him, which means you're on your way, which means you're a bad guy. One of the things I wanted to talk about was the love interest between him and Emma. I didn't really bring this up in my review of A Court in Thorns and Roses, but I'm really over the whole concept of like an immortal being falling for a teenager, like any kind of immortal being, because I am 26 and I can't even imagine wanting to date even like a 22, 21-year-old, let alone a teenager. And so I try to imagine myself as a 70-year-old in this situation, or as a 500-year-old fae in A Court of Thorns and Roses, or an 80-year-old vampire from Twilight, and I cannot see the appeal of a teenager. Now, there was this recent situation where, because I look very young, I had a teenager come and flirt with me, and I can see the appeal of the flirtation just because they're very fearless about it. There's no like, oh, should I even be doing this? It's just, I want to do this, I'm gonna do it. Nothing happened there. But I'm just saying, like, I get the appeal of the fun of it, but to actually date or touch or kiss or do anything else with them, it's just not something that seems feasible in my head. Now, this was a little bit more of an exception in my mind, just because something about them being perpetual children, even they want to be called children, so maybe their like perspective is a little warped. They not only stop growing physically but also emotionally and mentally, which kind of makes sense, because if the chemistry of your body and your brain is not allowed to mature that way, then you will probably be stuck with a lot of childlike impulses, which it seems like was kind of dictated in the book but not outright said. It is said that they do prefer to be called children. I don't know, that was a very interesting aspect of the book to me, but I don't get the appeal. Also, it's kind of weird that him and his grandfather dig the same chick. I don't know why it really weirds me out, and it doesn't seem to bother him at all. I mean, he like has a moment where he's like, I don't know if Grandpa would be okay with this, but I'm gonna go with it because she's pretty and I want to kiss her. But I do love Emma as a character. Oh my god, Emma as a character is just brilliant and lovely in every possible way. I love her power because I am obsessed with fire. I love fire. I love everything about it, and it's the fact that it is destroying a lot of land in California. But ultimately, I really love fire, the way it sounds, the way it smells, the way it crackles, the way that it heats everything up. I like hot things. I like hot drinks. You can ask my friends. I still drink hot coffee even when it's 80 degrees out because I love hot things. She has the idea, if I could pick any gift to have from these peculiar children, it would definitely be Emma's, because I would love to control fire and have that as a thing. I ship it. I ship Emma and Jacob. Oh, but I was pissed. Speaking of this ship, I was absolutely pissed when Jacob ends up in Emma's room and there's this box that says do not open, private, or something like that, along to that effect. And he fucking opens it. And she's just kind of chill about it. And maybe it's an age thing, I don't know. But if it were me, I'd be done with it. I was like, if I can't trust you, there's no fucking way I'm kissing you or dating you. I would be so done with it at that point. I was so mad at Jacob. I really did not like him as a character in that moment, and I still kind of hold it against him. He has proved himself otherwise, like in other ways, yes, but I am still pissed about that moment because I take those kinds of little betrayals very, very seriously, because they are a sign often, or a lead up often, to bigger betrayals, at least in my experience of my life. And I've had serious issues with my personal things being invaded throughout my entire life. So I cannot get behind that, and I cannot get behind her forgiving him so quickly and being so calm about it. I was so mad about that. It was her personal things, and it was up to her to decide when she wanted to share them, and he just did not respect her wishes or her privacy at all. And that is part of being a teenager, is not knowing those boundaries and not respecting those boundaries, living on impulses. I think that's the difference between young adults to an adult. Like, I'm 26 and I often don't feel like I'm actually an adult. Like, I still don't feel like I'm doing it right. I don't think I'm adulting. It doesn't feel like I am 26. But I think the biggest difference between 26-year-old Stephanie and 16 or 18-year-old Stephanie is that she does not run on impulses anymore, as far as impulses to do things, to kiss people, to flirt with people, to make bad choices, to be like, this is something I want to do, I will deal with the consequences later. I am now somebody who considers the consequences before making choices or being impulsive, and then I make my decisions based off of what I think those consequences will be. So that is my reasoning for why I don't think I could ever date somebody in this situation. Like, I don't think I could be Emma and date Jacob, because he is a 16-year-old little boy, and I'm like a 70-year-old woman, and only like in the impulsiveness, maybe it's refreshing after a certain amount of time. I don't know, because I guess I can't totally relate to her because I'm not a 70-year-old woman trapped in a child's body. I definitely don't get the appeal. That was a moment of mistrust from Jacob's part that I would not have forgiven until at least the second or third book. You know, I still shipped them, I guess, sort of. I don't know. I hated that moment though. Ruined my trust for him. Although, let me say, being a dick apparently runs in the family, because the fucking grandfather with this scene, with the that's why, dick, what a dick move. And maybe he did it that way so that way she could let go, so that she would understand, and she did, and she kind of stopped. Like, that was such a dick move. I thought that was so fucking rude, especially after you promised to go back for somebody. You could at least write them a letter before they start freaking out. Like, that she's just concerned that for his safety. Oh my god, I wanted to slap Grandpa Jacob so bad. Forgot his name, but god, oh, it makes me so mad. The men in this family really need to. There's a little segment in here where the dad talks about writing and the struggles of being a writer, getting super excited about projects, working on them for a little bit, and then just getting super discouraged about them, that they're not original, that they're not interesting, that people aren't going to read it. I wonder how much of Ransom Riggs' own experience he wrote into that passage, because the father is supposed to be some kind of journalist and writer, and it's really hard for writers, at least I can attest, to not write parts of yourself into every little character. I felt like that was a little bit of Ransom Riggs peeking out in the writing. I don't know. Personal opinion. I don't know how to say his name, but I think it's Enoch. I thought Enoch was going to be a bad guy for a while. I totally did. I thought that maybe he was bringing to life somebody to kill the sheep, but it turns out it's the monster, so that was a prediction I did not get correct. That was a really fun aspect of this book for me as well, is that I did not predict anything necessarily. I didn't stop to make predictions very frequently, according to my notes at least. This is the part where we find out Dr. Golan is a bad guy. And then we find out that Enoch isn't a bad guy, and I wrote that in there. I'm kind of glad that Enoch isn't a bad guy, because he is actually quite charming in his own way. Oh my god, and then Victor being the bog boy. Oh my god, I was like, oh my god, that is such a beautiful scene. That whole entire thing was just beautiful and brilliant and gorgeous, and I cried. I definitely cried. I cried a lot. The entire time I was wondering too who the bog boy was. I thought to myself, okay, one of the peculiar children must have died. And for a second I thought maybe it would be Jacob. I don't know how, but I thought maybe that was the thing. But that it turned out to be Victor, I thought that was a very, very beautiful way to give Victor the death and ending that he wanted. Miss Peregrine was a lot different than I thought. I had kind of built her in my head before reading this book, just because of seeing the trailer and things like that. I thought she'd be a little bit more warm. For the most part, she's very secretive, very strict, and very, very protected and guarded, which I understand. It's her job. So I still liked her character a lot, but I definitely was anticipating more of like a maternal, motherly kind of figure. And there was only that one time during the like talent show where they were all showing off their powers that she kind of let those guards down and she became part of the show when she was naked. I really liked that aspect to her, and if we get to see more of her, which I'm hoping we do, then I would really like to see that side of her come out a little bit more. I'm really excited to see how fierce she gets when she does get to change back into Miss Peregrine, or whatever other powers she might have. I really liked the whole concept of the protectors being birds, and that their kind of like teacher names are like Miss Peregrine, Miss Sparrow, and things like that. So I thought that was very charming, very sweet. I don't know if that's actual folklore, Ransom Riggs made that up. I haven't looked it up, but I really like that concept, and I thought that was very sweet. And just in general, the whole science of like the time loops and things like that, I thought that was really cool. Like really fun fantasy sci-fi type stuff. There's probably more things to discuss, and I would love to discuss them with you in the comments. I am here to discuss books I would love to. For now, I'm gonna go, and I'm actually gonna read the sequel probably by the end of this week. But until next time, I will definitely see you guys later. Bye!